Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the Infinite Baffle channel. My name is Niall and today I'm very excited to be bringing you a video covering the brand new Dali Kupid speakers. Now, whenever we've covered Dali in the past, we've tended to focus on their more higher end models, things like the Ruby cores, which we covered earlier this year, a speaker that we're a big fan of. But our interest on this was really peaked when it came to the Cupids because they come in at just £299. Very, very modest compared to a lot of the other stuff that Dali offer. And in fact, they are now the cheapest, what I would say is traditional speaker that they offer. So we were interested to see, A, do they still hold that Dali magic? And B, how do they compare to other entry-level bookshelf options? But if you do enjoy this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up on it. Make sure to let us know your thoughts on the Cupids in the comment section down below. And without any further ado, let's get into it. The first thing that I have to mention, and one of the things that really did pique our interest when it came to the Cupid speakers, was the fact that they won the What Hi-Fi Best Stand Mount Speaker for under £500. Now, when you think that they're coming in at almost half of that £500 at $299, that is some achievement and really shows what quality could be on offer here for a speaker at its price point. Another thing that I was intrigued to find out, and something that I think a lot of you guys watching will want to know, is what is the difference between the Cupids and the Oberon ones? I mean, the Oberon ones come in at just £100 more expensive. They're from a higher end range. They're a higher spec speaker. So is it worth paying that £100? Or is there a bargain to be had here with the Cupid? And starting that comparison straight away, I think it's important to note here that the Oberon ones are a small bookshelf speaker, but even compared to those, the Cupids are smaller in every single way. And their design to me feels a lot more kitsy compared to the Oberon one, which looks like a much more serious hi-fi speaker. I mean, we've discussed it in several products recently actually. The first thing that comes to mind is the Cupids. Are they a lifestyle product or are they a hi-fi product? And that's something we're going to be discussing today. One of the things that straight away jumps off the page and makes you think that these could potentially be a bit more of a lifestyle focused speaker are the finishes that they come available in, because yes, you can get them in the traditional black, the caramel white, the walnut, but the fact that you can get them in what they call a chili blue, which is what we're joined with today, and also the golden yellow, which I wasn't sure on when I first saw it, but I must admit is growing on me. Again, it doesn't feel particularly audiophile, if you see what I mean. I think it's worth noting as well that yes, the Cupids are Dali's cheapest bookshelf speaker, but they don't feel cheap. They feel really, really premium. That's when you look at the real close-up mouldings, the overall quality of the finish, and just the overall feel of the cabinets as a whole. I mean, they do not feel like a cheap speaker by any stretch of the imagination. It's a really simple design, but actually I think it's one that works really, really well. I mean, I love the way that the colours pop from the drivers and the mouldings there, especially with the yellow, blue and white designs where those colours are a little bit brighter. I think the way it pops, really a big fan of that. You have an 11.5cm low-end driver on the front, which is made of a paper wood pulp mixture. And next to that, you also have the 26mm soft dome tweeter. All of this is very, very standard when it comes to speaker design. I'm sure you've seen many speakers with a similar kind of layout. You have standard but very high quality banana terminals on the back for your speaker plug connections. You don't have the ability to buy wire here, but a speaker of this level, I don't think that's really the biggest miss in the world. I did briefly mention the weight of the speakers and how light they are when you pick them up, and they do come in at 6 kg, which again, by no stretch a heavy speaker. Let's not beat around the bush here, but again, don't let that trick you into thinking that they're low quality, because it doesn't feel like that at all. I actually think because of the low weight, the small footprint, the funky designs that they come in, these are going to be great for in like a bedroom, office, just any kind of small area where the small form factor of the speaker will come in handy and really help you get, in theory, a hi-fi sound, but without taking up a massive amount of space. When it comes to the numbers in terms of performance, these have a sensitivity rating of 83 dB, which when I first saw it was a little bit of a concern because we thought that maybe they might be a little bit tricky to drive. Didn't seem to be the case at all, to be completely honest with you, and very pleased to say straight off the bat, spoiler alert, that wasn't an issue whatsoever. On top of that, you also have a frequency range going from 63 Hz to 25,000 kHz and a maximum SPL of 103 dB. As always, I'll put a link to the speakers in the description down below. That'll take you to Audio Affair, where we do all of our listening and testing, and you'll be able to see the speakers there with a full list of the technical specifications. We were very keen, because of the low price point of the Cupids, to pair them up with something that was equally entry level, something where if you were putting together your first system, or almost like a smaller backup system for an office or a bedroom, something where that could be realistic. So we put them in alongside the Tangent TV Ampster 2. Now this is a really budget friendly amplifier. It comes in at £200. It has 50 watts of power, which is just above what Dali recommend. They give a recommendation of 40 watts to 120 watts of power when using the Cupids, and it works really well, I'm going to say straight off the bat. And when you consider that this is a system that you can get for just under £500, again something that I think is very modest in terms of modern hi-fi, I think it worked really well. It was a great fit. One thing that I have said on the channel previously, and something that I genuinely really do stand by, is that I think the entry to mid-level hi-fi market, particularly in the entry level, every pound extra you can spend can really help unlock a lot of performance. And I think for a lot of people, £100 difference between the Cupids and the Oberon ones. Are the Oberon ones the better speaker? Unquestionably, yes. I mean, they've got a more natural sound, they've got a bit more Dali finesse to them, they've got a much better low end compared to the Cupids. And we'll get onto the Cupids themselves in a moment, because this isn't to say that they're a bad speaker, but for anyone thinking, you know, can I get a little bit of a bargain here and get the same level of performance? The Oberon one is unquestionably still the better speaker, but that's to be expected. It's more expensive, it's part of a more premium range. You know, the Cupid is not in the same league as the Oberon one. Let's just say that straight off the bat. With the Oberon one comparison put to one side though, and focusing in on exactly what the Cupids are all about, they're a great little speaker. They've got a really fun, dynamic presentation to them, and for such a small cabinet, the sound that they put out really does, it's so much bigger than you would expect. And that is something that we mentioned in a lot of bookshelf reviews that we've covered this year. These manufacturers are getting a lot better now at getting a bigger sound from a small cabinet, and the Cupid is another really good example of that in action. When I think of all the Dali speakers that I've listened to over the years, I do always associate them with having that kind of brighter leaning sound to them overall, and the Cupids here are no exception to that. They're definitely unapologetically Dali in the way that they sound, and by that I mean they do have that bright leaning signature to them. They're very lively, they're very dynamic, they're just a very fun speaker. I think where these speakers feel most at home is kind of in that mid-volume range when listening to really, I don't want to use the word commercial, but they certainly feel the most at home with pop music in my experience. I think we listen to tracks by, like Messy by Lola Young. There's a track called Forever by Clairo that an artist called Zulan has done a remix of. Both of those tracks sounded great. You find yourself tapping along, and I'm going to use the word fun again for probably like the 5th time in this video, but they genuinely are just a really fun little speaker. The detailing the Cupids have to offer is also not to be scoffed at though. I mean, again, compared to the Oberons, not quite to that same level. I mean, I think the word Oberon, fun and Cupid are by far going to be the most used words in this video. But yeah, the detailing on them is really, really great. I mean, we were listening to the Hayley Williams album that came out earlier this year. We also had on some Time Myers, a bit of country, and yeah, the detailing is certainly a level above what I would expect from the price point, without doubt. And don't get me wrong, when I say the detailing is great, we're not talking about the real audiophile levels of separation here, where, you know, you're picking out different instruments, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't do anything quite to that extreme of a level, but again, the whole sound is very, very engaging. Whenever we look at any equipment on the channel, one of the first things we try and think about is, what is the use case for that product? You know, what did Dali have in mind when they designed the Cupids? What was their thought as to where these speakers belonged? And unquestionably, you look at the price point, you look at the small form factor, they're designed to go in a small space. You think of yourself putting these in a bedroom, in an office, that kind of environment. And I think for that will be absolutely exceptional, because the impressive staging will be able to show itself off even more in those kind of spaces. You know, you're not going to be filling a really massive room with these, but in a smaller space, absolutely spot on. And I think it's no coincidence that these have come out not too far before Christmas, because I think they're the kind of speaker where you can definitely see people purchasing these as part of someone's, you know, very first hi-fi package, because for someone on the younger side of things, they're really funky in terms of their finishes, they're super simple to use, and they sound great. So I think they're perfect for someone putting together their first system that's going to go in a bedroom, you know, with a little amplifier, maybe with a turntable. You can't really go wrong with them. I do have to hammer home the point again though, that don't think because of that these are purely a lifestyle speaker, that the audio quality isn't all there, because that simply is not the case. I mean, there is a reason these have won the best stand mount for under £500 with What Hi-Fi. They really do, you know, they're far more impressive than their aesthetics and their price point would ever suggest. And I think that just about sums it up really. I think if you're in the market for a fun, small form factor, well-designed little speaker, you can do a lot worse than the Dali Cupids, especially at that £299 price point. Again, you know, bedroom setting, kitchen, office, someone's first system, someone's secondary system, anything like that, these will be absolutely perfect for you. And yeah, I was thoroughly impressed. You can see just why they're getting the accolades that they are in the hi-fi industry at the moment. But that is going to round up the video, guys. As always, this is the point where we ask you, what did you think of the Cupids? Have you listened to them? Would you go for something like this, or would you prefer to spend an extra £100 in search of that little bit of extra audio quality that you get from something like the Oberon ones? Or would you be happy to take in a kind of backup smaller system something like the Cupids that are a little bit more fun in design and still give you that great punchy little sound? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. But thank you as always for tuning in. Again, if you did enjoy, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe for weekly hi-fi content, and we'll see you all in the next one, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.